Every biblical difference between men and women explained simply. This video is going to be a real treat for you guys who've been asking me about biblical masculinity and what that actually looks like in the real world. Because this video is going to go over real life situations and how men and women should handle it. And this video will be also useful for women as well because there's a growing segment of women watching this channel, and I guess it's nice to make a piece of content for them, right? That being said, let's get right into it. The first thing you have to do is purge your brain of propaganda. Purge your brain of something that's terrible, that's been put into it by society for a very long time now. And that is men and women are equal in all things, right? And if you deny that, you're like, oh, you're saying men are better than women? Oh my God, you're like a misogynist pig. So no one wants to say it. Let me explain very coherently what the Bible is talking about when it says men and women are different. So first, you need to understand what nature is. Nature describes what something is. Another word for it is essence. So the way this works is very simple. It's the way the Bible describes it. We have a human nature, right? And this is what a human is. So made in the image of God, has a soul, so on and so forth. And then the instantiations of this are male nature and a female nature. So what about equality, right? The equality is in their humanity. Men and women are both human, and there are certain things that are proper to humanity. For example, being made in the image of God, having value, having souls, so on and so forth. So men and women are equal in the greatest context, which is the human nature context, but they have many differences in their instantiations, their masculinity and femininity, and they are made for each other. So they have to be different, right? Because if you want to get, let's say, magnets and you want them to attract to each other, they need to be opposites, right? In the same way, they need to be opposite in many different ways for them to work together, and they're made for each other, right? So it's much like a knight and a bishop in chess. Knights do one thing in chess, bishops do another thing in chess, but they're both worth 3 points at the end of the day. So with that being said, what are some things that are proper to each other's nature? For men, let's say force, that drive, the can do anything kind of mindset. For women, let's say nurturing. Would you drop your kids off to an all male daycare? I wouldn't. I mean, I don't have any kids. I'm 19, but if I had kids, I would not drop them off to an all male daycare. If there are any men there, I would think that would be pretty weird. I want women taking care of my child. And likewise, you need a car fixed and a woman shows up, I wouldn't be too optimistic about that. So you may realize that this is very close to gender stereotypes and dinosaur. And I was watching the Piers Morgan and Fuentes interview, and Piers Morgan was like, "Yeah, misogynist dinosaur." And I don't necessarily agree with everything Nick says. I don't want to get too far into that. It's not really relevant. But, you may realize this is old stuff like, oh, this is outdated. That's the propaganda. Okay? The Bible teaches very clearly. It talks about in many different places when God was talking to Adam and Eve, he gave different commands, prescriptive commands to Adam and Eve. When Paul speaks about women in the church letters, he clearly speaks of them indifferently. For example, he says, a wife ought to submit to her husband as she does to the Lord. And to the husband, he says, love your wife as Christ loved the church. So it's very clear there's different commands being given to each of them. You give different commands when the individual is different in some way. So are men and women equal? In humanity, yes. In how they instantiate that nature, no. They do different things. But those two different things come together to make something whole and beautiful, and that's why marriage is beautiful, coming together in one flesh. So with that being said, now that it's covered, let's get into actual dating and relationship situations. First would be the approach. Okay, the thing that a lot of you guys, assuming most of my audience is on the younger side, like teenage. So the approach, and I've experienced it, the approach is the scariest thing. Like, oh my God, what if she rejects me, So how should approach go from the Christian lens? Let's first apply the principle that men are supposed to lead, right? The Bible speaks very clearly that men are supposed to be in charge. In the context of the church, Paul wrote, "I did not give woman authority over a man. She is to remain silent." Now you can cry your eyes out and say it's misogynistic and, it's you're a dinosaur for believing that. I don't really care. When it comes to what society says or what God says, I'm picking what God says every single time. So it says lead. So what does that mean? Men, you should initiate. Okay. Nothing makes me think a guy is a bigger loser than when they start telling me about, oh, well, you gotta, I wish these girls would approach me, approach me, approach me. Are you, I mean, sounds like someone that would attend a pride parade. You have to initiate. And I know a lot of you guys, and I've been there, you'll feel nervous and whatnot. And I'll make video. I mean, if you guys have problems, let me know. I'll make videos about all the topics. I will eventually make a video about approaching specifically, but it can be very simple. All right. Just think of it like this. Your goal is to have fun and then to make it man and woman, right? To establish gender dynamics. Okay, let her know that this is not just approach to be like some buddies or whatever. You're actually genuinely interested in her in some way. That's not by saying, "Hey, little mama, let me hit." Don't do it like that. Okay, you can use one good thing for red pill or some of the push pull stuff. That stuff works very well. And here, I'll write it down here. Number one, use environment. Okay, I remember on one approach, and these didn't really materialize into anything because I wasn't really interested in the girls. I was just practicing. Sorry, ladies, but I was using environment. They were playing. I was at a youth group. I was a youth at the time. I dropped out from high school, but I was in high school, quote unquote, high school age. And there was this girl, and they were playing Chubby Bunny, and I could have. They don't do the whole pickup lines thing. That's stupid. That's cringe. It can work. It's not rocket science. This isn't that hard. Okay, that's one thing you're going to realize as I talk about this. But in any case, he said, "Oh, would you be good at this?" With a little smile. It's playing off the situation. It feels very natural. You never want to have your approach feel very unnatural. She should never feel like she's getting picked up. Never make her feel like that. And pickup lines tend to do that quite a bit. Now, two is comfortability. Okay, you have to understand that if you come on too strong to the girl, she's gonna get scared. She's gonna get nervous, and it's gonna mess up your ability to move forward. Okay, comfortability is like the cap. Okay, and the more comfortable you make her, the farther you can go. All right. So, and I'll make a whole that ties a lot into body language and physical escalation, but that's for another video. In any case, making her laugh is a good way. Don't crowd her space. Don't cut off exits. These type of things. And this is where understanding that men and women are different is very good, because if you understand a woman, you understand that they are the weaker sex. Okay, I just put it like that. Physically, they're the weaker sex. Okay, they're not as strong, right? Generally speaking, any man off the street could completely RKO any woman. All right. Generally speaking, of course, there's the 6'7" woman who's trained in like martial arts. It's a bit different, right? But you need to take account of that and understand that, and don't come on too strong. All right, second thing. And third, have fun. Okay? If you go into it like you're playing a game, like, hold on, if you go into it like you're playing a game and you're trying to score points and trying really hard, she's going to sense that. You're going to come off as weird. You're going to come off as a loser. So don't do that. Instead, focus on just having fun, having a good time. Okay? Because when you're having a good time, that transfers. If you know anything about sales, you know anything about rhetoric, you know that emotions transfer. Right? If I'm super excited, I'm talking like this, you're either going to think I'm really weird or you're going to match that. Okay? There's really no in between. All right? In this case, I'm not saying go like this, but what I'm saying is, have that positive attitude, right? And if she likes you at all, of course, looks matter a lot. If you look like an ugly bastard, then, none of this stuff really matters, to be honest. But you don't need to be as attractive as other people would say. Okay, I'm going to talk more about attraction and looks later. In any case, 4, it will be about man and woman. Okay, you never want to get friend zoned. If you get friend zoned, that basically means you're homosexual. Okay, if I'm gonna be honest, it's basically what it means, because That means when you speak to women, you aren't speaking to them as if they're actually a different sex. Okay, you're speaking to them like they're your buddy, which that's basically pretending gender roles don't exist, and that's pretty gay. Okay, so how do you make a man and woman? It's very. I mean, let's think of something simple. Yeah, there has to be something that clearly communicates that you are interested. All right, and this is why comfortability matters a lot. So if a girl is uncomfortable, and then you say something that would make her think that you're interested in her, it's huge turn off. Okay, that's going to completely ruin everything. But let's say you've already moved up her comfortability, you're having fun with each other. You say, "What's good?" Well, let's say a basic push pull. You're cute, but I don't know if you're crazy. That's a simple one. That one works pretty well. And she either will go, "Oh well, I don't really," she's going to do that, and then okay. I mean that means you messed up in the earlier parts and you weren't able to perceive her body language and whatnot. Again, this isn't a full approach guide. This is a very simple framework. But if she likes you, then she'll respond positively, and then all right, we can start moving towards setting up a date and whatnot. But that all really just goes to the principle of initiating. I really want to go deep in depth in this video because I want you guys to have useful stuff to use and understand. Now, for women, you have to drop hints. Okay, and these hints should be very simple. They should be very low key. It shouldn't be like, "I like you." It's not really a hint. I mean, it's more like just saying it. Like being in his vicinity. Look at him. Smile at him. These type of things. Little things. And men always complain about, "Oh, well, the hints aren't obvious." They're obvious. Okay, you just need to know what you're looking for, right? And, be happy. Really, for a woman, that's all you have to do on approach. Drop hints and be happy. If the approach doesn't go your way and he doesn't actually, go through with it, he's either a loser or he doesn't like you. And those are two options, right? So, and I know right now I sound like one of these old guys who are like, "Oh, man, you young men are bad," or whatever. Trust me, I have plenty to say about women later, but in this regard, it's very simple for men, okay? 2, as far as relationships go, payment and finance. This is something that's been very controversial in recent years because of certain movements that have sprung up. So I'm going to make things very simple for you guys. Men, pay. Okay, if you're with a woman and you're out and about and you guys are going to get something, you should be paying for it. All right? And I already know it's the first thing a lot of people are going to say. But she's going to take all my money. What if she's a gold digger? If you get gold dug, then you're a retard. Okay? Avoiding gold digger is very simple. Okay, I'm going to give you this guys how you avoid a gold digger. Okay? Avoid gold digger. Make this very simple. I think it's with 2 days. Whatever. I like 2 days. All right. Avoid gold digger. Number 1. No payment. No payment dates. Boom. That's the easiest way to fix it. Okay? You want to avoid a gold digger? Okay. Go to the park. Have fun on the swings. Take a walk through a forest or whatever. Well, not, okay. By forest, I mean like a exhibit, like a organized one, not like a literal random forest. Don't do that. Like a Yellowstone Park or Jellystone Park. Okay, I know it's a fictional park, but I think you get what I mean. Like, it's a park. There's parks as in where swings and whatever. There's parks as in like recreational places. You get what I mean. Okay? That's it. Go for a walk. These things don't cost money. And now, a lot of you guys might be saying, or some of these guys might be saying, but she doesn't want to do that. She wants to go to dinner. She wants to do this. Then don't take her out on the date. If a girl really likes you, if a girl really digs you, no pun intended, she's not going to force you to pay for a date. Go for a walk. "Oh, I really like him. Yeah, let's go for a walk." There you go. If she doesn't want to go for a walk with you, then she doesn't like you. She's trying to get your money. That's simple. Okay? It's avoiding gold diggers are super easy. All right? If you're doing these no payment dates, at a certain point, if she's a gold digger, she's going to stop wasting her time because there's plenty of men that's going to give her money. Okay? There's plenty of men out there that's going to give her money. The second she finds a guy who won't give money, she's going to leave. And that's how you know things have gone well. So if you're worried about that, just do a no payment date. No payment dates. It's very simple. Okay. Now, for women, don't insist on payment. Okay. You should never say things like, oh, well, you're going to pay, right? And don't force him on dates that require him to pay. Okay. If he doesn't want to pay if he wants to set up something to where you aren't spending money and therefore he won't have to pay for you, don't villainize that, and don't take it personally in your mind either, because you have to understand all the other women he's going to be dealing with. Okay, take it as a test, and if you have the feeling that, oh well, he should be paying for me on this, he should take me out like for dinner or whatever, then I think you're in the wrong. I think you have a problem. So don't insist. Don't be naggy. If he does pay, you have to thank him, and be very nice about it. Be very polite, and also don't, as I say right here, don't insist on payment. Okay. 3, protection. So this is something that's very interesting, something very intricate, and really explains one of the main differences in the sexes. So for men, what does being protective look like? For men, your primary form of protection is physical. Right? So at all times, you need to think of you as her bodyguard, right? In the sense of you're looking out for anything, right? Maybe it's a dangerous situation. It's your job to perceive it and avoid it. And if a situation does arise, God forbid, then it's your job to take care of it. Your main job is to make sure that she's safe. So ideally, run and get somewhere safe. If it's a situation where physical confrontation, fighting is inevitable, then it's your job to fight. And it's really that simple. Okay, if there's a physical altercation, you take charge. All right. The Bible says men have to lead, have to initiate, be protectors. It's very simple. Now, for women, do not, and I've seen this so much, do not get in the way. Okay. I know some of you guys want to be, some of you, woman, want to be like Mrs. Do It All, like, the one thing where it's the one feminist thing where it's like the muscle, whatever. You're either going to get your partner, boyfriend, husband, and by the way, don't date. Okay, you have to court. I forgot to say that earlier. Dating just to date is stupid. You should be courting. Courting means going for marriage. When I say date, I mean court. I just use the word date because who the hell means what court means anymore? So anyways, you're either going to get your prospective partner or your actual partner murked, or you're going to get murked yourself. Okay, it's not going to go well unless, there's some crazy situation where you can get it like a rock or something and save them or whatever. Just get out of the way. Okay, let your man handle the situation. All right. And secondly, don't be stupid. Okay? Don't be stupid. Have trust. I've also seen this situation a lot where a man will perceive a situation that is dangerous and he tells his woman, hey, let's get out of here. It's not good. And the woman's like, why? Can you tell me why? Why? I don't have. Where are the Barbies? Hold on. When this is going to be this is Naggy Miss Naggerton. Okay, this is basically a symbol of what men find annoying. All right. Well, what do you mean? You have to explain to me what's going on. Just be quiet and listen to him. Okay, don't nag. Okay, don't be annoying. Now, if he's a man that basically leaves you out to dry, then you're gonna be your subconscious is gonna be completely flipped away from him. But obviously that's a huge red flag. So do not get in the way. Move, get somewhere safe, hide behind something. I don't know, and don't be stupid. Have trust in your man. If you can't trust him, then you shouldn't be with him. All right. And also, the main form of protection that women are going to be going through is emotional or giving out. Emotional protection. So this is where the differences in women also become very apparent, because women are nurturing, they're more emotional by nature. Men are more forceful and have more physical prowess. Now, I'm not saying that men don't have any emotional prowess or women don't have any physical prowess. at all. At all. For men and women, it's a little bit different. I feel like men can embody more of the feminine traits than the woman can embody more of the masculine traits. I think that's specifically because women were created as a helper for man. So, with that being said, let's say, I don't know, your husband's having or your prospective partner is having tough situations. You have to encourage him, help him, support him, right, emotionally. Feed him good words in his mind, because you have to remember the way the mind works is we have things in our mind, thoughts. So this could be a memory about something we heard, right? And then what makes it stick is emotion, right? So if you tell him emotionally charged words like "I love you" and all this other stuff, these nice things with a smile, like your pupil of his eye, that's going to stick in his mind. And you don't want to be sticking. Oh, well, why don't you do this? Why can't you do this? I want this now. I'm angry. You have to feed me. All this other stuff. That's going to be replaying in his mind. Okay, you're doing the opposite of emotionally protecting him. You're emotionally harming him. Okay, you should be putting positive things. Like, she's getting Nagerton out of here. You have to be putting positive things into his mind. Okay, positive, positive, positive. Right? Be happy. That's how you emotionally protect a man. Because when things are tough, they know, okay, you know what? No matter what happens, when I come home, when I go to see her, things are going to be okay because she's going to be nice and pleasant. Okay, she's not going to be Miss Nagerton. Okay. 4, dignity. What does having dignity look for a man rather than a woman? So, men, having dignity is having balls. Okay, it could really be summarized to that. I could make this super complicated and add in a bunch of charts and whatever, but you know what having balls is, right? We intuitively understand what having balls is. Having balls is, being erect. No pun, pun intended, actually. I'm gonna be honest. Okay, I remember in my video about why Christian women don't like Christian men. There's erectile dysfunction, which women obviously don't like, but there's also erectile dysfunction of the spirit. Okay, they have to be very strong-willed. They have to have a strong spirit. Okay, that's what women find attractive. Okay, women don't like a man who's like, oh, that's okay, I guess. You want to go to the club? Oh, there's gonna be guys there. That's okay. Do whatever you want. They don't want that. Okay, and I don't really like that either. When I hear someone like that, I just feel like they're fake. I'll have to censor that. But having balls, staying up space, being unapologetic about what you believe, and it doesn't mean being ignorant. I feel like a lot of people misinterpret this aspect and say like, oh, well, are you saying don't listen to anyone, be like super stubborn? You should be stubborn, but it has to be reasonably stubborn, right? I know stubborn has a negative connotation, but to clarify, let's say someone's trying to tell me that, I don't know, God isn't real and whatever, right? And obviously I have a philosophical background, so I understand why I believe in God and I have good reasons for it, right? Someone's telling me that I'm stubborn and I'm firm in my belief, right? There's a different form of stubbornness where someone is clearly showing me something that is true. For example, let's say I had a preconceived notion that, all right, you know what? We're going to go this road. All right, we're going to go down this road no matter what. Let's say someone points out, or even, prospective partner in a situation points out that, hey, this looks like a dangerous situation. And I see it, and it does look dangerous, and I'm like, all right, no, it's safe. It's safe. It's safe. That's being stupid. Okay, it's not being stubborn, that's being stupid. Right? So be very steadfast, be very firm in your beliefs. Don't be an easy person to knock around, but at the same time, be reasonable and be intelligent. Now, for women, dignity is, this actually correlates a lot to a different thing that's very important. Never sow seeds of doubt. Okay, so what does this mean? Get rid of social media, get rid of Instagram, get rid of Facebook, get rid of TikTok, get rid of these things. Okay, because that puts bad things in your mind and that outputs them to your partner, and that's not a good thing. And beyond that, no guy friends. Okay, no hanging out with guys, no texting guys, all this other stuff. Because that sows seeds of doubts in a man. And women have been told through feminism, you know what? That
oh, but you're not a real man. You're like insecure. You believe in an insecure form of masculinity. I should be able to text as many guys as I want. It's my business. It's my life. You don't own me. I'm not your slave. It's not the 1950s. Oh my God. Shut up. you know? Never sow seeds of doubt. Cut off the guy friends. What are the guy friends for? Okay, that's a question that will never be answered. What are the guy friends for? Okay, everything you need from a man should be coming from your husband or your prospective partner. Okay, cut the other guys off. All right, once it gets serious, cut them all off. Okay, they shouldn't be anywhere near your phone, anywhere near your vicinity. And when you're in public, you know, you be very perceptive of men coming up to you, of men talking to you, etc. You want your man to always be able to say, you know what, I'm always going to be protecting her. I'm always going to be in the vicinity. I'm always going to be watching, you know. But at the same time, I know that she's very loyal and that she would never put herself in a situation where something could happen. You know, inspiring that type of confidence is very good for a man. And in the Bible, it says very clearly that, you know, when it can be extrapolated from when the Bible says, submit to your husband as you submit to the Lord, right? You don't entertain things that are not of God. And similar, you should never entertain things that are not of your husband. And things not of your husband are other men. I mean, that's about as not as of your husband as you can imagine it. And also, modesty. Modesty is extremely important for women. I think it's important for men as well. I mean, for men, you shouldn't be posting your penis online. Duh. But for women, it's a bit different because women, men, we have, cock and balls, right? We don't have tits. Women have tits. There's more stuff to look at, shapes and whatever. So for women, modesty is extremely important. Never go out wearing skimpy outfits. Okay, your skimpy outfits are for at home with your husband. That's it. No skimpy outfits out in public. And if you have a problem with that, then you need to seriously ask yourself why. Well, you want other people to look at you? And this is where, this is the point where it becomes very obvious that a man just hasn't taken that role of authority in your mind. Because there's no good logical reason for that. It's just societal conditioning. It's like, oh, I just want to look cute. No. Looking cute is for your partner. Now, red flags. Let's get into this. What are red flags for men? Now, first of all, I want you guys to be smart and understand that you can reverse engineer a lot of these red flags. So, for instance, I say men should pay for a date. If he doesn't pay for the date, that's a red flag, right? So keep all that in mind. You already said that. Hopefully, you're taking notes. Hopefully, you're writing things down, so on and so forth, because it's so valuable. Where's my water? Did I not bring my water? All right, hold on. I get my water. All right, water's been acquired. Water's being consumed. We're all good. Now, let's. All right, so you have the obvious extrapolation, right? So now let's get into some of the other stuff, some other things. And these could be repeats, but I really want to drive these home. So, first of all, body count. Okay, body count, and this can go for both sexes. But a high body count is a red flag. Okay, you can say whatever you want about people being reformed and changing, whatever. That's fine. I believe in that type of stuff, but it doesn't change the fact that it's a red flag. Okay, it's harder to pair bond. It's not as special, so on and so forth. It's a red flag. Okay, no matter what, I don't care what the situation is, it's a red flag. 2, not patient. And not patient in the regard of, let's say, having sex. So, and obviously, if you're a man and you're listening to this, don't embody these principles. And if you have a problem with any of these principles, then there's a problem with you. Okay, that's what the Bible teaches. The Bible teaches no sex before marriage. What I see in a lot of relationships is a woman's not really ready to have sex. She's like, oh, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. And even in some cases, she's like, no, I want to save it for marriage and whatnot. The man's like, no, let's just do it now. Let's do it now. Let's get out of the way. What are we waiting for? That's a serious red flag. Because in one sense, he's either impatient and a bit immature. Okay, that's the first thing. Or more nefarious, he's trying to play a game. All right, he's going to pump and dump, as many would say. Nut and go, many would say. It's a huge red flag. If he is a Christian man that is truly after the Christian concept of marriage, he's not going to he's not gonna have any problem with waiting. He's gonna embrace waiting. He's gonna embrace how special it is to have sex only within the confines of marriage. 3, broke. Now, I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, oh, you're saying they should worry about the money, should worry about the money. A little bit, because the man's going to take care of them. They need to have some money, right? But here's the way to look at it, all right? When I say broke, I mean broke spirits, okay? Broke of the spirit. So there's the material version of being broke, which is just not having money, but not everyone who does have money is necessarily broke, okay? There's two types of people that are not broke: people that literally have money, and people that are striving and on the path towards making money. Okay, if a man is ambitious with their career, business, so on and so forth, and they're actually making strides towards it, they're not broke. And that's completely fine. Takes time. But if there's someone, what I'm talking about is someone who's kind of just like stays at home, doesn't really do anything, no prospects, no ambition, no none of this stuff, that's a huge red flag. Okay, because if you can't take care of himself, he's not going to take care of you. Right? But at the same time, if he's ambitious, completely support him, and it's going to be a good thing. 4, let me pull out. Okay, 4, gooner. It's a pretty obvious one. And how do you tell a gooner? Gooner paraphernalia. Apparently, this thing's getting super popular. I mean, this is like red flag. Never enter. Okay, when he has like waifus on like his wallpaper, like the anime waifu thing, like on his wallpaper, his case, so on and so forth. In general, being an anime geek's a bit of a red flag. Like, not, I mean, I've watched anime before, but being like super obsessed with anime, putting all over the place, I've observed usually those people have some kind of mental problems. But especially gooner paraphernalia. Okay, if you see anything related to gooning, like I don't know, like a beer poster of a girl's tits on his wall, like in those bras, bikinis, whatever, these are huge red flags. Okay, I'm thinking about a succinct way to put a bunch of information, but I'm kind of thinking, isn't it obvious? Who wants to be with a gooner? Who wants to actually be a gooner? Okay, everyone who goons understands deep down that they're being a loser. I made videos about how to quit gooning, so if you're a gooner, there's some stuff for you. Next, out of shape. So this goes for the same as being broke. Okay, if someone's striving towards changing their body, someone's striving towards getting in shape, taking care of the temple, as the Bible talks about, that's fine. Okay, you're on the rope. But if you're someone who's just a fat slob who does nothing and just eats, or doesn't eat, just skinny and scrawny and weak, that's a huge red flag. That's a problem. Okay. But that's shallow. You're saying care about looks. You should care about looks. Looks are a reflection of someone's health. Who wants an unhealthy partner? Okay, this is a person you want to be the father of your children, or in the vice versa, the mother of your children. You want to be the rest of your life with. I mean, some of these people, I mean, you just look at them, they aren't going to be alive for much longer, unfortunately. 6, lukewarm. Okay, and this kind of goes to having balls, which I'll talk about soon. But if you're gonna be with a man, he should be hardcore about his Christianity. Okay, because Christianity is not a lukewarm thing. The Bible says very clearly that you need to be fully committed to Christ. You need to give your life to Christ. It's not just, well, sometimes I go to church. I guess sometimes I read my Bible, but I just like having fun or whatever. Something I see a lot are men being degenerates and then saying, "Oh, God would understand. I'm just having fun." Really? First of all, it's not even fun to be degenerate. Okay, and you learn that the hard way or you learn that the smart way by listening to other people who break it down in systems. Or, lukewarm in the sense of just doesn't really care. All right, even he doesn't even acknowledge it. He's just like, you ask him he's Christian, he's like, I guess I'm Christian. He has a cross necklace, and that's about it. He doesn't even go the extra step of at least going, let's say, reading the Bible a little bit. So, no lukewarm Christians. Right? Obviously, for lukewarm Christian, that's not a good thing. 7, little balls. What is an example of little balls? Um, do you want to go to the park? If you don't want to, it's okay. But like, I kind of want to go to the park, but I don't want to get in your space, and it might be bad. Hopefully, I didn't offend you. Little balls, little balls. Sorry, you got little balls if you're doing that. Okay, for a woman, you want a man with big balls. How do you tell if a man has big balls? Look at him and hear him speak and how he speaks. You can tell your subconscious is gonna be, firing off like, oh, this is a man. You know, you're a big guy. Stand firm in your beliefs. Be a bit more hardcore about what you believe. And if you can't be hardcore about what you believe, you either got little balls or you don't know enough about it. So either you're dumb or you got little balls. So fix whichever problem. Made videos about it. Now let's get to the woman. Okay. Being a mom. And it's funny, this is a double meaning because in the literal sense, if she is a single mom, again, things can be redeemed. That can work out. I've seen it work out. But if you're like 20 and you're looking for a relationship and you meet a girl and she's 20 and she has a kid, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole personally, but I don't know, maybe you guys are different. But that is a red flag. No matter how you slice it, it's a red flag. And also relates to body count. That also means she has a body count. Personally, it's 2 rules. If you don't end in teen, then I ain't going in. And 2, she's got to be a virgin. Okay? So, body count matters a lot. I get, well, if you're like 38 and you're talking to girls that are 30, you're not going to find girls that are virgins. Likely. I understand that. But, talking about general principles. Technically speaking, any of these red flags can be overcome. But they're flags. Aren't red flags. It's not a good sign. That's what it means. And being a mom is kind of just being like, oh, well, you need to start doing this. You need to start doing that. Why don't you start doing this? You need to clean. You need to clean. You need to clean. You need to do this. You need to do that. It's like, Mom, leave me alone. I'm trying to work. And here's the thing. If you need to act like a mom in order to get him on his stuff, then he's a loser. Okay, straight up. Right? And being a mom isn't cooking, cleaning, taking care of the house. The Bible says do that. When I'm talking about being a mom, it's kind of like being like dragging him around to his work. Okay, it's either really annoying for a man, right, who's actually on his stuff. If you're acting like a mom, that's super annoying. But if he's not on his stuff and you're acting like a mom, then you shouldn't be with him because he's a loser, right? Now, 2. Most of these are vice versa. Oh yeah, this is another one specific one. Focused on career. So if you're talking to a chick, right, and she starts talking about, oh, well, I want to be a doctor, I want to get like a master's, I want to be like a neuroscientist or whatever, that's a red flag. That's something that's very controversial, but what does the Bible say? The Bible says woman ought to be home. That's what it says. If you don't like that, then piss up a rope. Okay, that's what it says, and that's what I live by. If she's gonna just think about this, what sense does it make for a woman to go through all this education, right? All these years of education just to stay home? Pretty stupid. That doesn't make any sense, right? So you need to be very clear, very upfront. I want a woman that's going to stay home. Don't say it the first time you meet her, but, or pretty early on, that should be straightforward. I'm a Christian. That's what I believe. I'm a man. It's my job to work. It's my job to provide for the home. It's one quote I like. I'll give you a house. You turn it into a home. Right? Homemaker. That's what it means. That's what the Bible calls a woman to be. When you're doing all this career stuff, it's not very conducive towards. I mean, you could get a 4-year degree and go to college, a very degenerate place more often than not. Get a 4-year degree and then be a homemaker, but it's just a waste of time. You should have just spent those 4 years making babies with your husband. So focus on career is a red flag, especially if she won't let go of it. She's like, well, I really want to work. I don't want to stay home. Just no, not a good thing. And the vice versa is a very big green flag. Now, green flags, just take these red flags and flip it. Okay? Those are green flags. So if she says she always wants to stay home, not in a lazy way, but, she likes being home. She's a homebody. Very big green flag. Huge green flag. It's one of the biggest green flags you could have, along with being a virgin and stuff like that. Now, This is dating for the most part of the way, although this next part relates to dating. But now we're going to talk about striving. Okay, what should men and women strive for? So financially, and this section will probably be a lot quicker. Income. Okay, you need assets, you need income, you need resources. Do you need to be a millionaire to get a girl? No. Do you even need to make money necessarily to get a girl? No. But if you want to have a good relationship, you need to have some form of income. All right, and preferably that's gonna be some form of income that is not doesn't make you a wage slave. Like working at McDonald's and getting a relationship, it's a bit tough. Okay. Ideally, you want enough money to support yourself and then support you going on. Because there's other thing, you shouldn't be dating. Remember, dating in quotes, courting. You shouldn't be going out with them every day. Now, that ruins a lot of the attraction. It should be like a once a week thing. You go and see them, and you should be able to afford to go out once a week. And it's not a lot of money, to be honest. I mean, that's if you go to the park route. I mean, okay, you drive your car, pick her up, go to the park, and go home. I mean, that's free. You know, it's gas. Okay, like $3 in gas, $4, $5 in gas, whatever. That's pretty cheap. Even if you do go out to eat, I mean, go out to somewhere simple. You know, again, if she's asking for all this bougie stuff, then she's probably, you know, doesn't have the best interest in mind. Go out to eat $50 at most. You know, 25. I mean, that's a good amount of money. I'm thinking about there's a lot of good food you can get for a lot less than that. I'm thinking like cheeseburger, fries, milkshake. I mean, that won't cost $50 for two people. Most places, at least. Or I mean, you can just get steaks. I mean, a steak depends where you go. You get a steak for like $20, a good one. You can have her make it. You can make it. Although you want to set the principle that she's gonna be cooking, but you can cook every once in a blue moon. Okay, I'm just giving you guys ideas. Okay, income. You don't need to be making tons of money, but you should be striving towards making more money. Now, for women, no. Okay, we don't want your money. Okay, men don't want your money. Now, and if you do make money, it's basically ours. Okay, we're gonna take it and we're gonna manage the money. All right. And I understand that there's certain situations where it's not that simple. You know, it's not a whole lot of situations where you could just stay with your parents and they could, you know, take care of the financial aspect and you could just go out on these courting occasions, these dates, and move forward and eventually get married. It's not always ideal. Sometimes you have to leave home. Sometimes your parents make you work. In that case, try to get a feminine job. Okay, work at a daycare, work at a cafe, barista. Cute feminine jobs. Okay, don't like be an engineer or mechanic or something like that, right? But ideally, you wouldn't work. If you need to work, then you need to work. Okay, I get it. And your prospective partner should also get it. But his goal should be okay. I don't want you working anymore. You know, I want to take good care of you. 2, physical. I forgot something. Big green flag for men. Let me write that a little better. A green flag, whatever. That's good enough. Green flag, jealous. No, jealous? That's bad. What do I mean by jealous? What I mean by jealous is he's very protective. Okay, because you have to understand, a man with any type of balls is gonna be very territorial. You know, he doesn't want to share stuff like this is my stuff. Right? This orb, when you get with him, now you're in the orb. This orb, this is my stuff. Okay. I don't want this like this could be where he lives, this could be, you know, his possessions, whatnot, even his mindset, his mind space. This is my stuff. Okay. Don't mess with it. You know, I'll punch you in the face. And that's you want to filter out the jealousy of, you know, because the thing is being like what they call controlling very rarely is actually being controlling. You know, like if I don't know, let's say I don't know, I mean, you walk outside, a guy looks at you, if you're a girl, the guy looks at you, and then he punches you in the face. I mean, I get something like that. That's an extreme example, but you know that would be a bad thing, you know. But when we're talking about a guy, like let's say you had an ex, and he's like, you know, where's he at? You know, want to beat him up. Like that kind of attitude, that kind of like puffed up chest, like no one's gonna mess with you. That's a very big green flag because that means they care about you. Okay, that means they'll do anything for you. Right? It's a big green flag, and sometimes we come with that usually comes with things like stubbornness. It usually comes as a whole package, right? But some people that are jealous also cheat. I know that's something that's an instance that happens sometimes. Obviously, that would counteract the green flag, but you do want him to be. And the thing is, okay, I know you, woman. All right, you like it. I know it. All right, because if we do that one test where the girl's like, oh, "I'm gonna go out with a guy," and the guy's like, "Well, okay," the girl hates it. Okay, the girl hates it because like he doesn't care. And also, I know what girls read. Okay, I've read the studies as well. I've read the psychoanalytic confessions. I know what you guys like. Okay, two, physical. Men, big, strong. Make it simple, big and strong. I'll make a video about the gym. Honestly, I haven't really talked much about the gym on this channel. I've talked about it in my Discord, but if you guys really want a gym video, let me know what videos you guys want to see. The guides. Okay, I got you guys on whatever you need. So Ben, big and strong. I'm not gonna get the whole gym routine here, but lift heavy things, get stronger, get bigger. If you're fat, don't be fat. Okay, lose some weight. Go for a walk and lose some weight. All right, woman, your physical attraction is super important. There's a part in the Bible that talks about physical attraction specifically. If you're a woman, we don't want your money. We don't want you to be like super smart, like intellectual. We want you to be with a pure heart, smiles, cute, and hot. Okay, I prefer cute other than hot, but I think you get what I mean. Physically attractive. Let's put it like that. So you should be working on your body, and this also goes for men too. Like physical attraction is super important for both, but for women, it's like super super important. Body, face, and what's the other thing? Health, because health relates to all those things. Right? If you're a girl and you have a bunch of dark circles, don't just start covering up with makeup. Okay, that will look better in a moment, but when the makeup's off, we're gonna be X. If you have like these huge dark circles and you have all this acne or whatever, that is a sign of bad health. You need to fix your health. Women, generally speaking, usually have diets worse than men, from what I've noticed. Like the average female diet is usually worse than average male diet because women they're fed this propaganda on TikTok and Instagram, whatever, about this. Oh, well, look, it's a cute little salad. Look, it's a salad. I'll put my tomatoes and my dressing. That's not good. That's not very good for you. Okay, you need to be eating meat. You need to be eating eggs. You need to be drinking milk. Okay, this stuff's good for you. Not very good for your body. Okay, see a lot of women, and also body. Okay, listen, men, we don't want this. All right, we don't want this. Okay, we want this. All right, we don't want sticks. We also don't want fats. We also don't want this. I don't want you built like a fridge. We want curve. Now, well, first of all, a lot of you guys are trying to be so skinny, right? That's like, no, we like even in the stomach. Like we don't want like a gut, but we want like, little pinch, little pinch. It's cute, right? But we want this. Okay, we want shape, right? We want plumpness. And if you're a woman struggling with that, first of all, the legs are super easy to grow. The legs are super easy to grow. Don't follow a retarded gym routine and bulk. Okay? And eat good food. That's going to get your hormones. Because the thing is, for men, it's not like we have a hormone that makes, our arms grow easier. I mean, it's testosterone, but that goes for the whole body, right? For women, for your legs, if your hormonal profile is good, more of your body weight's going to go to your legs. Okay? That's just how estrogen works, right? A healthy female hormonal profile. Same thing goes for your titties, all right? I like big titties too, if you didn't know. So body, face, and health. Don't see this as, when we say this, don't see it as like, oh, this shallow or whatever. I don't want an ugly wife, and if women don't want an ugly husband, I'm totally with that for obvious reasons. All right, I'm totally with that. So body, face, health. Don't be ugly. I mean, that's like the very layman's way of putting it, but also specific things. If you're a man, you want to be built like this. All right, that's very exaggerated. I'm not a very good drawer, so I mean, let's see if I can get this to look. Yeah, I mean, That's pretty bad. You want to be shaped like this, okay, with big arms. And you don't want to have like these super big legs that kind of looks feminine, but you want to have well developed legs, big shoulders, big neck, these type of things. Okay, and the face also matters a lot too. If you have good health, face can look good too. There's certain things you can do with your haircut and whatnot that will help. Again, that'll be another video. Let me go what you guys want to see. 3, charisma. How long is this video? 50 minutes? Bro, last time I checked, I was at like 28. Okay. Let's start moving a little quicker here, guys. This video's getting very long. 3, men. Want to be charming. All right, want to have that masculine aura. So you can think of, if you want to take a exaggerated example, think of James Bond. Calm, cool, collected, charming, right? But you don't want to be cringe and spurgy and kind of like just like force it because it's a movie. Remember, it's exaggerated. But that's kind of the vibe you want to give off, like a masculine aura. Like I'm a man, I got things put together. You don't want to be saying, yeah, I don't know. Like, you don't want to be talking like that, or you want to be talking in a very clear, concise way that clearly conveys the points you're trying to make, and want to do it with confidence. Okay. Now, for a woman, be cute. Right. Charisma for women. Like I see these female YouTube channels talking about how to lure men, and like, oh, well, you gotta talk like this, and you gotta be like seductive. Okay, in certain contexts, that's cool and whatever. But generally speaking, most of us men, like, we make a spectrum here. This is masculine. This is feminine. If you're a woman watching this, and if you're a woman watching this, and if you're a man, if you're right, so woman, you want men over here. Like this is what Christianity teaches. Be a man. Okay, no this egalitarian living in the middle BS. Okay, none of that. Look, it's even a rainbow. I didn't even know it was gonna be a rainbow, but there you go, rainbow. This is rainbow zone for men. All right, want to be manly. Right? Be a little machismo. This is going to attract this. Now, what's this? Is it like seductive and alluring? No, it's not. It's cute. It's kind of awkward. It's kind of like, oh, hi, everyone. I had a great day. I went to Bubble Guppy Land and it was so fun. And that's that. It's kind of like the ditzy, cute thing. We like that. Okay. Men on this end of the spectrum like this. Okay. The cute, ditzy. Like, oh, he's so cute. That type of thing. Now, if you are here as a man, you're going to attract this as a woman. Right? This is going to be the attraction spectrum. And it's going to be an egalitarian, relationship that's not going to go very well. So if you're a woman, be cute, be a little, ditzy. That's what we like. Don't focus too much on like saying the right things and being like watching these charisma videos and following them. You don't need to. Just be happy. Okay, just be cute. That's what we like. 4, intellectual. Men, you got to be smart. You got to be smart. Okay, being a retard, you can be a retard and have a perfectly fine relationship. But being smart, first of all, women find it attractive, obviously. But second of all, in general, as a man, you have to be smart. You have to know what you're doing. You have to not be a fool, because the Bible talks very negatively of fools. So read a little bit, watch more of my videos, learn stuff, etc. Now, for a woman, I don't know what my battery life of my camera is. Hopefully, it doesn't die. But anyways, intellectual. For a woman, we don't care. Okay, if you're like a little bookworm, that's kind of cute. But we, at the end of the day, do not care. Okay? We're talking about, oh, I know this fact, I know that fact, I know this system, whatever. We don't care. Do you have a pure heart, and are you cute? That's all we care about. Okay? We don't care about how smart you are, how much money you have, all this stuff. Whether you have like social status or whatever. We just care about your heart and your titties. Okay, that's what we care about. All right. Next, spiritual. Most importantly. So for men, you want to be like a spiritual leader. In your relationship and in your life in general, when people come to you for spiritual matters, you should be able to give them a coherent, decent answer that points them in the right direction. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have a full understanding. You don't need to give them full systems. But you need to at least point them in the right direction. You have to know the Bible. You have to understand the Bible. You have to also understand that your heart is very important. Where your heart is in everything you do, supporting the heart, spirit, right? I wasn't planning this video to do this long. I wasn't prepared. Sinuses are starting to clog up. For women, spiritual support. So this actually goes to emotional support I was talking about earlier, but you're amplifying it through God. So through the relationship you have with God, you're able to support Him, right? Because the Bible talks about the lineage of submission. So it says man is the head of woman, and Christ is the head of man, head of Christ is God. That line, that lineage, woman has to submit to the husband to get through it. So through your submission, that's spiritual nurturing for yourself and spiritual support. It's good for you. So now let's talk about gray areas. Let's blaze right through this. All right, gray areas for each of them. So are men supposed to be emotional? A lot of people get this wrong. So you either talk about stoicism, the philosophy that Marcus Aurelius made while he watched his wife get piped down by other men, stoicism, or you have being gay. So like, hey guys, I'm emotionally like in tune with myself, like that. All right, that's the emotion being taught. So it's two ends of the spectrum. Really, you want to be learning about transmutation because what does the Bible say? The Bible doesn't say stuff down your emotions. The Bible doesn't say ignore your emotions. Instead, it says transform your heart and your mind. What does transforming your heart and mind look like? It looks like taking emotions that are, let's say, negative, and then through the example of Christ, transform them into positive, transmutation. Okay? What Stoicism teaches is doing what's right regardless of your emotions. That's like a very unintellectual, unsophisticated way of saying transmutation. And when you try doing it like that, you're just repressing things down. Okay? You need to transmute. I'll make other videos about transmutation. You can watch the video about how to biblically lock in. That video has some stuff about transmutation in it. It's on my channel. Vulnerable. Should men be vulnerable? No. Okay, this is another thing that's very controversial. If you're going through, okay, first of all, if you have like a bunch of mental problems, you shouldn't get into a relationship. But let's say in your relationship you are having mental problems. Your job is to inspire confidence to your woman. Okay, and I know they may be saying you can tell me anything, but they say that with a good heart usually, but it usually ends up not going that well in the long term. Okay, you're a man, you need to figure these things out. Okay, you should never like. You can cry given certain circumstances, but you shouldn't be crying in front of your wife. Okay, maybe if your kid just got ran over by a car and they're dead, that's a different situation. But generally speaking, you should avoid crying in front of your wife. You should avoid being super emotionally vulnerable. You have to be strong. But that doesn't mean you are stuffing those things away. All right, you're just inspiring confidence for a woman. In your own private life, you have to be transmuting those things, breaking them down, the psychological stuff, towards positives. Right? You have to show an image to your wife. That's your duty. That's going to be very controversial, but I truly believe that. And I believe the Bible supports that type of thinking. Because the Bible says, there's times to withdraw and be alone. If you have no time alone to break these things down, then you're doing something wrong. Okay, you're doing something wrong with your time management. Next, what is simping? Simping is unequal exchange. So a lot of these people you hear now would make you think that, oh, well, giving a woman flowers is simping. Paying for the date is simping. Telling her you love her and cuddling is simping. None of those things are simping. It's simping when she's like, she just doesn't give you anything back. Like, oh, well, whatever. I don't care. You pay for the date and she's like, well, I don't know. Nah. She's like lukewarm, You understand? You're giving her value. She has to be giving you value back. And that value could simply be being happy, being nice, and being cooperative, right? Now let's go to woman. Submission. What is submission? I'll tell you exactly what the Bible said. Submit to your husband as you do to the Lord. That's submission. You don't like that? Too bad. Next, confrontation. And no, if he tells you to jump off a bridge, you shouldn't jump off the bridge. Okay, don't be stupid. So you're saying if my husband tells me to get a wrench and hit myself with it a million times, I should follow it? No. Nah, actually, I don't need you anymore, so get out of here. Confrontation. Okay, what if you have a problem with something your husband's doing and you want to go tell him, but you're like, oh, well, should I? Am I supposed to be submissive? You need to inspire confidence. And the way you do that is by understanding how men are. Okay, men, like I said earlier, we like territory. This is our space. When you come in and try and tell us something's wrong, it's kind of like, no, it's my territory. Well, you're saying there's something wrong with my house, saying something's wrong with my stuff. It's like telling us that our kid's ugly. It's like, what do you mean? Well, these are fighting words. Get out. You kind of get defensive. Okay, you need to preface it. You need to go throughout saying that they're fully in charge. They're the man and whatnot. But you just have an idea. They don't have to listen to like when we talk about a man and they're like, oh well, you don't have to follow it. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to be mean. I don't want to like step over things. We talk about a man being a loser for saying that's because it's feminine. When a woman does that, it's fine. It's cute actually. I like it. Right? So it's very important that you inspire confidence at all times, especially when you're trying to come with them with something, right? You have to make sure that they know you're not overstepping the territory, just making a suggestion, right? All right. This video is what, like an hour long? Yeah, an hour. Almost on the dot. That's going to be all. Appreciate you guys watching. Leave a like, leave a comment for the algorithm and whatnot. Subscribe for more videos. See you guys in the next one.